Yes, this week's Manshake Gutsiest Player of the Week award goes to the Origin Stars, backing up for the Broncos and the Cronulla Sharks last night after Wednesday's brutal showing. Anyone would have forgiven these blokes for taking a week off, but instead these machines put on a cracking game in the Shire. 20-12, the final result, with the Broncos reclaiming top spot on the NRL ladder. Joey, how did you see this match?
I thought Brisbane were excellent, really excellent. The stats were all in favour of Cronulla. I think at the end of the game they had 47% of possession. The Broncos, but look, they know their style at the moment. They know how they've got to play it. And considering that Origin period, they beat the Warriors over there last week and then they've backed up and beat the Sharks away. It's huge. Is
this a big statement to the rest of the competition, as you mentioned,
well,
considering
the test is going to come. Last year they lost their last 7, is that right? Yeah. They were on top of the table 7 rounds ago and then fell on a heap.
Well, that won't happen again this year.
Test.
They won't play another game without their Origin stars. They'll have their buys, their 2 buys, and then they'll have their last buy in the second last round. They finish off the competition playing the Melbourne Storm on a Thursday night at Suncorp. That is the perfect recipe to head into a final series. And you have a look at their team. They are dangerous. They've got this forward pack as good as anyone. Their outside backs in Herbie Farnworth and Tony Staggs are probably the best 2 centre pairings in the competition, and they've got a back 3 of Origin level. They are a team, and if they can put it together and keep healthy, they're right in this competition.
They've got mobile back rowers. You know, if you want to save that many tries, you need mobile people, and the Broncos are that. They move very quickly in defence, and I thought a really good sign was the first Tony Staggs took a hit up off the kickoff at the start of the game and just tore into him, and then a couple of minutes later he's scoring a try by doing exactly the same. He just led the way, and this is what you need, you know, like especially when you've got Origin players coming back. You need other players around there to set the tone for you, and then they'll just drag the Origin players along. So I thought Tony Staggs he did an incredible job in that department.
He gave Talakai a bath a couple of times. He was so strong, but also he got the ball. They're using the ball coming out of trouble. They got to be I think they're the best centres in the competition. Tony Staggs, all power, or he's getting over, and Herbie Farnworth. But have a look, he's getting early ball, time to move, time to stand up the opposition. I love the way they play in the Broncos. The young back rower, how do you pronounce his name, Bill?
Pirakura.
Geez, he was good last night, the young fellow with the headgear.
Isn't he an athlete?
Oof, he's a player and a half.
Are you 100% convinced they can win it? Does what happened last year come into
worries me a little bit, but a year older, a year maturer, Kevy will know how to handle after Origin. Along with South, they're the teams.
Well, you've still got to do it. You know, whether people think you can do it, yeah, sure, but you've still got to go and do it. One guy that has actually been standing up is Billy Walters.
Yeah, he wasn't good.
Pakes when he comes on.
Yeah, Billy Walters, and great with the football, but defensively, he's got great technique. Used to be a former half, but now he's made a fist of the number 9 position. That was probably the biggest question mark over the Broncos coming into this season. Those 2 number 9s have certainly delivered for their team, and they're doing a great job. So they've got the full ingredient. They've just got to get the recipe all together and hitting their straps at the right time.
I think some teams, more than others, have a slight reliance on players, and I feel like Adam Reynolds and Payne play a really big part. Payne plays such big minutes, and you just see, you know, at NRL he just gets over. You know, not many people push him backwards, and then Adam Reynolds is just so experienced. He just never flustered. So I feel like if they're fit and healthy in the semi-finals, they'll be hard to beat.
Sharks missed 46 tackles. Very unlike a Craig Fitzgibbon coached team. Where are they at, Freddie, you reckon?
Well, I thought that was a good example. I thought they're as dangerous as anyone. The way they move the ball is pretty incredible, actually.
Sharks?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they made, you know, I didn't look at the stats, so they made a lot more line breaks than Brisbane. They had a lot more scoring opportunities than Brisbane. And at the end of the day, they didn't come up with those moments. You know, that's what happened in the semi-finals last year. They had the semi-final at home and they got beat by the Cowboys. And then they played, I think the Rabbitohs in the second semi-final were beat convincingly. So it's those bigger games, you know, they just got to keep going. They're a pretty young squad. I think the best is ahead of them.
Fair bit of work for the Cronulla Sharks to do, but the Brisbane Broncos, they are flying at the moment, that's for sure. Well, coming up straight after the break, the NRL's newest franchise were dominated across the ditch, but do we have yet another Brisbane team throwing their hat in the ring for the NRL's 18th team? We chat to Brisbane Tigers chairman Shane Richards next. Yeah, Shaun Johnson played a starring performance in the Warriors' 30-8 win over the Dolphins, who were without a host of their players. But, Joey, Shaun Johnson's performance, what did you make of him last night?
Oh, he's taken his game again. He was finished a couple of years ago. He tore his Achilles at Cronulla, and they didn't want him. He's gone back over to the Warriors. I think he's playing the best he's ever had. He's playing tough, he's resilient, and the team are on the back of him. Scoring tries, look at this. Didn't see that for Shaun. Start of his career, you saw it. But then we haven't seen it for years.
You're probably the best person to ask, Joey. What's he doing different now that he wasn't doing when he was in this sort of form?
He's digging into the line. He's playing faster. He's taken the defence on. And if you take the defence on, and if you're a running half, that improves your passing because defenders are going to bite early on you. He's playing tough. He wants to own the game. Playing the best he's ever has.
When the game was on the line, it was Shaun Johnson who stood up. It was a try piece for a long period of the game, and Shaun scored the first try, and then he came up with that second one, that right foot step, little show. He only had a little bit of space, and he changed the game off his performance. But what the Warriors are doing really well, and I think a lot of credit's got to go to Andrew Webster, is they're building this foundation of the game that no one else has done at the Warriors since its inception. They play controlled, they play field position, they complete their sets and they wait for their opportunities. So they're a team, the Warriors, and Shaun Johnson's playing off the back of it.
Reminded me of the old days. It reminded me of Stacey Jones, the drums, the way they played, they were aggressive. I remember going over there and you'd be sort of running out going, oh, here we go. You know, like they'd be going mad. There'd be fire at the end of the stadium. They used to come out of the tunnel.
Ali Latidi.
I miss that tunnel where they used to come out of the...
certain smells coming across the stadium too when you play. Big fat ones.
It was so good. And I remember Shaun Johnson reminded me of Stacey Jones. Like, you'd think you're going all right and you're defending, then all of a sudden Stacey just get the ball and run across dummy, and he was that quick and moved so well. You'd blink and he'd be scoring a try.
They're getting a lot out of their wingers. Dallin Watene-Selesnia and also Marcelo Montoya are charging. They're getting their sets rolling forward. They're just such a well-balanced team, but they're playing with discipline. They're hanging in, something you don't normally see from the Warriors. All credit to the coach, the coaching staff.
They certainly have been impressive. And, of course, the Dolphins, they are the newest team in the competition at the moment. But a hot topic in the NRL is also further expansion and bringing in that 18th NRL team. And someone who's hoping it will be his side is Brisbane Tigers CEO Shane Edwards, who joins us live now. Shane, why do you think the Brisbane Tigers should be the next team in the NRL?
Thank you for your time, Danica. I think the Brisbane Tigers should be the next team in the 18th competition because Queensland's underrepresented in the NRL at the moment. I think you can see clearly from the Dolphins' great success this year. They've had record crowds. I think they're average third on the attendance list. The Broncos are first. The Broncos have grown their attendance by 4,000 per average game. Today in the paper, the Broncos were saying they've got over 40,000 members for the first time in their history. Their television ratings were up 20%. And then you look at the south side of Brisbane, which has 600,000 more people, as defined by the Brisbane River, that we're underrepresented. The next team on the south side is the Titans, 71 kilometres away.
Shane, can you give us a brief history of the Tigers, some of the great ex-players, some of the memorable premierships?
Yeah, I think you can go through from... We're originally established in 1917 as the Cooperall Bengals, and then we became the Brisbane Tigers in 1933. You've had some great players here, obviously Des Morris, who we named our new stand after, that was part of the High Performance Centre recently. We've had John Lang, we've had Rod Morris, we've had a range of players both at state of origin and national level, and we've been in 9 state league grand finals in the last 30 years. So we're a team that has tradition. We have a great pathways program from juniors all the way through to the state league. So I think that's one of the things that has been understated about the Dolphins this year. They've got a great pathways program and they've had it for a very long time and they've been very successful. And I think that's assisted them to blood more players than if it was a one-off new team coming into the competition.
Shane, you spoke about pathways there. How many junior numbers have you got in your catchment area?
We've got significant numbers in our catchment area at the moment. We're an inner city club, but we're proposing that we go through into Logan and Ipswich, which is the southwest corridor, we're calling it. And but between now and 2031, there'll be an extra 450,000 people going into that area, or over 1 million people. We've got affiliations in that area already with clubs, with junior clubs, with schools. We've got an affiliation through our Leagues Club with Beval Swifts. And so it's an area that is a strong rugby league area that we need to keep growing. And if you look at either end of that corridor, you've got the Lions that have their base at Springfield near Ipswich, and they have their Leagues Club at Springwood, which is down the coast end. So we think if we can get in there and continue to grow, and the NRL and the QRL and the junior leagues, we'll certainly have a fighting chance to produce more footballers moving forward.
Shane, we've seen the fierce Bronco-Dolphin rivalry this year. Would the Tigers be a friendly Tiger or a disliked Tiger within the Brisbane area?
We'll be a competitive Tiger, so we'll go in there. And I think what we've said to start with is that Brisbaneites have a bit of fun about whether they live on the north side or the south side of the Brisbane River. And we see it becoming a north side, south side. So it'll be a great rivalry. Just like the Dolphins is establishing itself, we'll also be able to create a further rivalry with the Titans on the coast. So I just think it adds to the game. The game is growing in southeast Queensland, but whether you look at the sellout for the Magic Round, the State of Origin, the grand finals, we are underrepresented. We've got 3 teams in here. There's 9 in the Sydney region, and we think we deserve one, and we'll be trying to give the NRL enough answers to say that they can't do without us moving forward.
Just before we let you go, Shane, would you have to change the name? Could you be still the Tigers, considering we obviously have Tigers in our competition at the moment?
Too smart.
No, we can't, and we're comfortable with that. And in our last bid, we came up with a name called the Firehawks. This bid, we're just going by the Brisbane Tigers until we move forward and see what the selection criteria is from the NRL. And then we'll be in a position where we can look at creating a name, bringing it out. But we got good feedback from the Firehawks, and we'll continue to look at the best option possible for the area that we represent moving forward.
Now, Joey has a theory that in the real tight clashes, he thinks that the mascot that would win the fight would win the game. What is a Firehawk and how aggressive is it?
We see ourselves having 100 Firehawk drones coming into Suncorp Stadium every time we score a try, a bit like Buck the Bronco, and we'll be very strong. It's a native bird species in Australia, so it's something that we looked at pretty closely.
All right, well, thank you, Shane, and good luck with the bid.
Thank you very much.
Joey?
Would a Firehawk...
I'd like the Brisbane Drop Bears.
Would they beat Sharks?
Yeah.
Drop Bears?
Yeah, if it was on land, they would.
Yeah.
Not in the ocean. Okay. You don't play footy in the ocean, do you?
Would you have trees hanging over the ocean, they could drop down and swoop.
Let's go to a break.
All right, let's go to a break here. Stay with us because coming up straight after the break, Gus Gould sits down with former Dally M Coach of the Year, Daniel Anderson, following his life-changing spinal injury last year. And you don't miss this opportunity to help Daniel on his long road ahead as well. You can head to the website on your screen to donate. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, wasn't this an almighty finish at Campbelltown Stadium on Friday night? The Raiders hanging on for a 20-19 victory over the Tigers. The Raiders were well and truly out in front. 18-0 they led, and then the Tigers, they clawed their way back, but just not close enough in the end.
Even though when it was 18-0 though, the game was actually quite even. I thought Canberra come up with the big plays. Fogarty come up with 2 kicks that led to try, and I thought Tomoko saved 2 tries down the other end. He had a great save where he chased it down and got the ball out. Then one over the line and then actually dragged Jareem Buller over the sideline just on half-time. So at both ends of the field, they were just coming up with those big moments, and then all of a sudden, I think someone got sin-binned, and then,
Tom
wow.
Starling.
3 tries.
Didn't make a difference.
3
Just-
tries.
Bang, bang, bang.
What about the big defining moment at the end? Isaiah Papali'i's charge down.
Unfortunate, but it's a penalty.
Fair.
Yep, it's fair. It's very unfortunate, but that's the rules.
And Ricky Stewart, he had some quite strong words to say. There we can see the charge down, the replay of it coming in. And
Once Ricky's comments, Ricky goes atomic, which, they had a plan and they backed himself, and yeah, there it is. Unfortunately, hits the legs, very similar to James Graham a few years ago when he hit
Good Friday, yeah.
You just can't do it. It's unfortunate, but can't do it.
All right, well, let's take a listen back to Ricky Stewart's post-match press conference.
I don't know, did you think they missed Jared there for a little while? We were thinking, oh, geez.
When did we miss him, mate?
When did you miss him?
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering, you didn't think you ever missed him?
It was 18-0 with 67 to go.
And then they scored 3 tries and it got a bit hectic there.
But you reckon Jared would have stopped those 3? Now, and these Muppets who have been bagging me, they're all the guys who'll read the textbooks and talk about courageous leadership, man management, and they'll go out and talk at corporate functions, but they can't actually execute it. And that was a big risk tonight, and I knew I was going to cop it from every one of you in here tonight if we had got beaten. But I was prepared to take the risk. That's leadership. Not these other Muppets who pretend they know.
Some strong words from Ricky
Good on
Stewart
him.
there.
Ricky's the sort of coach who protects his players at all costs, protects his club. So good on him.
And so he was obviously referring to sitting Jared Croker out so they can celebrate the 300th at Canberra.
Once again, this game, very dewy. Canberra scored 3 tries, but off kicks. Once again, we've got to look how to get rid of the dew on the surface, because this game was just trench warfare. Until Starling got sin-binned, then the game opened up for the Tigers. Before that, it was just one-pass footy.
Yeah, it was at Campbelltown.
Incredibly dewy.
Yeah, it was.
Incredibly dewy.
All right, well, stay with us. We've got plenty more coming your way on the Sunday Footy Show. Up next, we're going to be talking all things Sunday footy. And Joey, you're off for this one. We're giving you an early mark. We'll be crossing to JT live next.